week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, you can it's available on almost all of your devices, and you can get a special price right now by going to pilchpoint.live/PureVPN. All right, so this was one of our first topics after the lockdown started just over a year ago. And it's probably time to revisit it, right? What has made our lives more bearable working from home? I think your mic is muted, buddy. I can't hear you.
Sorry, you've been working from home. It's a habit. I've gotten a habit from conference calls of always muting myself when I'm not talking.
Got it.
It's like an instinct. Even if there's no practical reason, like there's no noise going on or anything, I'm like a human walkie-talkie. I gotta turn it off. You mute it when I'm not talking.
And boy, does that play right into our topic, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. It's a thing that you become trained on, right? Because we're talking about how now it's been just about a year, maybe a little more than a year since we went into lockdown. And for me, and probably a lot of our viewers and listeners, that was when working from home 24/7, or every day of the week, every workday anyway, became reality.
Yeah.
But for you've worked from home a lot before.
For years,
right?
Yeah. Most of the last 11 years, minus a short stint where we had offices over in Tampa, has been working from home. So yeah, I've been very used to it. This has been business as usual for me.
Yeah, I do and don't. So I wanted to share this week some of the things I've learned in the last year. I do and don't like working from home, right? Like for a lot of people in my industry, they've worked for companies that didn't have an office, period. So a lot of tech journalists, they've been working remotely their whole career, but not me. I've been used to working in an office. I was very happy to go into our office at Tom's Hardware every weekday. Even though I could have worked from home more if I wanted to, I could have taken more days here and there and said, I'm staying home today. I never liked doing it. I like to be around the other people. I like getting away from my house and my family and just being in the work zone. So I wasn't happy about this, work from home transition. But I've learned to make the best of it in a few ways that I figure I would share for, especially in terms of the technology, for folks who are still working from home and maybe looking for, hey, how can I be a little more productive? One thing is obviously hopefully by now you're not just crouched over a laptop. You've got a nice desktop setup, but maybe you don't, or maybe it could be better. One thing is good keyboard and mouse, so critical. Easy to say what it is, but I strongly recommend a mechanical keyboard. You can get a good mechanical keyboard for well under $100, sometimes even $60. The one I have here, which I've been using for a while, is it's just pulling a bunch of wires, is my Hex Gears Impulse. The non-RGB version of this, which is what I have right here, I have the RGB version in a cubby, is only $89, and sometimes less. And it has box white switches, which are absolutely the best for typing if you don't mind a clicky feel, a clicky sound, which is I love. Some people don't, but hey. I like it, and really, really good, good quality, great feedback. Can type like 5 or 10 words faster than on some other keyboards. Um, for mice, obviously, you might you might look to, if you're a gamer, gaming mice, um, as this hex gear keyboard is a gaming keyboard as well. Although gaming gear doesn't mean you have to use it for gaming, you can use it for office work. I'm using a very simple mouse here. There are some better ones, but this is really inexpensive mouse. The Logitech M510, been around a long time. I like having a wireless mouse. I think a lot of people do, just one less wire to tangle. Um, Another thing to keep in mind is
I've got to
wrist
say,
comfort.
the M510 was probably, when I was at Radio Shack, was probably the most popular mouse we ever sold.
And they still make it.
I know.
They still make it. They still sell it.
Don't mess with
and
what
it's
works.
been around for like, now there are other Logitechs that are like $100 that give you some added features for sure. But for $20-25, I still really recommend this one because you get 2 buttons on the side, so you have your forward and you could program them, but forward and back, very important. You have really good tension in the scroll wheel. I like the ergonomic shape and the soft touch rubberized sides, and it does take AA batteries. AA or AAA? 2 AA batteries. Check there for a second. 2 AA batteries, and I have to change them like once every 6 months. So it's pretty reliable in that respect. The other thing that you really need to keep in mind is wrist comfort, right? I'm a really big proponent of using some type of gel or foam wrist rest. This is a Staples one, but I really like, if this wears out, and it has been not worn out for a while, I would definitely get the HyperX wrist rest, which is again made for gaming, but who cares what it's made for? It's a really attractive, comfortable wrist rest that has cooling gel in it. Similarly, a lot of people don't think about the wrist rest for the mouse, but I also have a pad that has the wrist rest for the mouse as well.
Me too.
Again, if you're working, I gotta have my gel rests everywhere. This one is actually wearing out, so right. I mean, I can't say these are pretty looking, like they get a little ratty, but
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're working from home, who will know? It's not your wrist rests and your mouse pad aren't usually visible on your conference calls. Obviously, conference calls are a big deal now, so having a good webcam almost goes without saying. The webcam on your laptop, no matter what laptop it is bad. Some are worse than others, but none of them is very good. So what can you do? We have a list of the best webcams on Tom's Hardware. The top of the list, and sometimes it's out of stock, but stock has improved, is the Logitech C920 webcam, which is also an oldie. Has probably been on the market for 10 years or something, and yet still the leader in the marketplace.
A 920? A 920 has been on the market for, it's got to be longer than that, because I think I've had mine for that long. I couldn't have gotten it day one.
Yeah, I say at least 10 years, right?
Because
maybe long.
We had our first one stolen by TSA coming back from CES 2011.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous how now there's a new there. Obviously, if you want to spend more money, the new Razer Kio is something like $200 and will do 1080p at 60 FPS, whereas I believe the 920 only does 1080p at 30 FPS. But granted, on your conference calls, you're not doing 60 FPS. Here's a variant of it that I also have in front of me. This is the 930, which is just slightly different than the 920. There's a few different. There's like a 920S and a 920X. Most of it is the difference of sort of the software that comes with it, or whether it comes with a cover or whatever. But point being that with these, the image quality is really good. You're getting 1080p, which you want, and much better low light. And I find that the microphone quality on the 920 is good enough that I can do conference calls and not wear a headset if I want to, because the microphone is pretty decent just on the webcam itself. Obviously, it helps if you're in a space where other people can hear you, like your family members, to get a headset. There's a lot of great gaming headsets out there. This right here, I'm not meaning to make a commercial for Logitech, is a simple Logitech headset. But again, you want to make sure that I strongly recommend that for the headset, you get USB headset and not one that uses a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. They're just, I get a lot of static with 3.5 millimeter audio jacks, sometimes some whine, and I guess it really depends on the sound card in your system, but you can't go wrong with USB. It just works. So I really recommend a USB headset over trying to get some of the fancier ones you can get have 3.5, but you're guaranteed to have good quality. Another thing that is really, really key for working from home is the chair. You got to have a comfy chair. And I have to admit, I have cheaped out on this a little bit. I would love to have, but I just cannot afford a Herman Miller chair. Right? There's some, certainly if you've got the money, it's probably worth.
My brother literally got one this week.
Which one did he get?
Couldn't tell you. That's
the one that
that's
I would
all
get.
The information I have.
The one that I would get is the Embody. There are two main chairs, I think, are the Aeron and the Embody. The Aeron is the one that has the mesh on the back, and the Embody is the one that has the fabric. I don't like those mesh chairs. A lot of people do, though, so to each their own. But the Embody is $1,600. So I did not get that. There are some good gaming chairs that can serve as office chairs, like Secret Labs has some good ones. I have kind of cheaped out here, and what I have here is a Staples Osgood chair that cost $100. It is giving me really good back support. However, anytime you buy a chair or any piece of furniture that is made from bonded leather, it will eventually go to shreds. And this is my second one because the previous one just started stripping. But $100 chair, you don't expect it to last forever. Sure. If you get a $1,500 chair, it better last forever. Obviously, we should talk about the computer. If you're working for a company, they probably give you a laptop. If you're working for yourself or company, or you can't bear to use the company laptop, obviously getting a lightweight ultrabook that you can take around the house, even if you're just within the house, is good for convenience sake. The X1 ThinkPad X1 Nano that I showed a few weeks ago is a great choice there, except for the fact that it doesn't have a lot of ports. I still use an X1 Carbon, which has full-size USB ports. Now, what I did find is what happens when you want multiple monitors, and you want multiple monitors.
Yes, you do.
So it's I think everybody knows by now you should have at least two monitors, and monitors are really inexpensive. I'm sitting here looking at 4 monitors. So I may have shown this in the show before, but for people who are watching then, here's my setup. Well, sort of. Hard to see, but to see from this angle, but I have 4 monitors. Anyway, so what's my point there? Well, the more monitors you have, the more you can leave things, windows open to keep things present for you. So, for example, I have chat with my coworkers, right? And I put the chat on my upper right monitor, and it's always there when I'm working. I have, another screen where I keep my email inbox. And it's true, if you're really well organized, you can kind of drag windows around and have your inbox, and snap them. And I try to do that sometimes. But when you have if you have 4 monitors, you can take 2 of them and you can say, like, okay, my top 2 are for things that just need to stay there all day, and my email, and the bottom 2 are like my work monitors. But obviously, having 4 monitors is not for everybody. But I definitely recommend getting at least 2. The monitors that I recently got a few months ago, I got 2 4K monitors that are Lenovo ThinkVision. They're available either as the L28U or the S28. Either as the L28 or the S28. They sell it under both model numbers. One is a ThinkVision and one is not a ThinkVision, but it is the same monitor. And you can get it for between $250 and $300, depending on if it's on sale. I got 2 of those, so fairly inexpensive. The thing that you want to do if you're having a multi-monitor setup and you want to save desk space is buy a stand. Do not go with the wobbly stands that they give you. Make sure that the monitors you get are Visa mountable, which means you can mount. They have a standard mounting surface in the back, and then you can buy a really inexpensive thing that you can attach to your desk, as I have done here. My monitor arm thing here was $55 to hold all 4 monitors. So, and you can get ones that hold 2 monitors for even less. And I can actually pull them and move them around. So definitely, you can improve your workspace by getting a third-party stand. So finally, you have to ask, how am I going to hook up to these monitors? If you're using a laptop, you need a dock. There's a couple of kinds of docks. This here is a Thunderbolt 3 dock from Pluggable. This one supports 2 4K monitors. You get a choice of HDMI or DisplayPort out, and a bunch of USB ports. If you get a Thunderbolt 3 dock, and your laptop supports Thunderbolt, you will get slightly better performance out of it, but those cost more around like $200. If you are not doing 4K, or you are not do not have Thunderbolt, getting a dock that just connects over standard USB, you can do for under $100. But that's if you have a laptop. If you have a laptop and you want to do 3 to 4 monitors, you're actually going to need multiple docks, because there's very few docking stations that support 3 monitors, and I couldn't even find one that supported 4. Another possibility is do what I did back over the summer, and go to having a desktop, because desktops can easily support 4 monitors, and there's no lag whatsoever. Obviously, that's not great if you want to move around your house. Then you also have to have a laptop. So that's a trade-off. Finally, I guess my final piece of advice: obviously, it always pays to have a dedicated space in your home if you can. It's definitely helpful to have a space that you can close the door, but obviously that's a luxury, and not everyone can do that. But in order to keep out distractions that you make yourself, I recommend installing a browser plugin that blocks you from visiting visiting sites during the workday that you probably shouldn't visit. Something like I have one installed called Block Site, and there's another one that I've used called Stay Focused. and you can set those so that if you want to make sure that you don't go on Facebook or Twitter or read the news in the middle of the day or whatever, you can give it a list of sites, and during these hours you can't visit them, and it'll give you a message. So that's one way to kind of make yourself think twice about the things that it's easy to get distracted with during your day. I mean, those would be good even if you're in the office, but when you're at home, it can be easier to get distracted, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you've got people around. That always makes it a little more complicated. But yeah, just wandering off to Facebook and Twitter and whatever can be an easy distraction.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
My biggest distraction in the last year often is, I mean, I can be my own distraction too, so I don't blame them. But my son is doing remote schooling, so he's here during the day. My daughter's 2 years old, and sometimes they'll come and they'll knock on my door or whatever, even though we tell them not to. And but I remember before, when I had cats, they were also distraction. So because the cats would come knock on the door too. You have a dog. How
Yes.
do you set boundaries with your dog?
So Duncan, we have kind of seems like we have an agreement that he understands. I've got an early morning call that I have to be on every morning. Then afterwards, we come downstairs and I let him out, and then I go back upstairs and I work. And he either sits in his bed in the office, or will get up on the couch or whatever. And then we come down for lunch, and out he goes while I'm making lunch. And then we do it again about mid-afternoon. I let him out, and then late afternoon I let him out after work. And I mean, he'll come up and kind of poke at me sometimes, like, hey, give me some attention. I'll scratch his head and whatever. But generally, he just likes to be in the room with me during work, and then afterwards we'll cuddle up on the couch, or whatever thing he wants to do. But it seems like we have a pretty good working relationship, and it's probably because almost the entire time I've had him, I've worked from home. So, since he was little, he's been used to this. So that has certainly helped set those boundaries. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm on a development team of about 16 people that I regularly interact with, and cats in particular end up in the shot on desks doing whatever they do. And I think the world is just kind of getting used to and accepting that as the reality.
Oh, it's not even a matter of like being embarrassed in front of my my coworkers or whatever. At this point, like, I really don't care. Once in a while, I'll accidentally leave the door open or something, and my daughter will come in and she'll want to sit on my lap.
Sure.
And like during a meeting, that's actually fine. Like, people like that. They're like, "Oh, your daughter's so cute," whatever. That's
agreed.
That's fine. Cats were more distracting because they would just start scratching things, right? So they were just wanting to sit and look at the screen. So
yeah. And being in
it's
inconvenient places.
Yeah, it's not the like peak coworker seeing it as so much for me as it would just be like not being able to get like hand to keyboard work done.
Yeah, and that's that was kind of what I was meaning, is that we see them all the time, like getting up on the desk and stuff like that. And I think we're just kind of accepting that cats in particular are just going to be in the way for a while, or possibly long term, depending on who we are. Depending on I think the world is just accepting that as the reality.
I mean, I originally got a wireless mouse because the cats used to bat when I had a wired mouse and I had cats, I used to try to chew the wire, right? so like, because they would chase it around, right? So it's funny the first time, right?
Right.
But
or from a distance where it's not my mouse that's being
right. It's
being
funny if
chewed
it's
on.
not you, and it's funny the first time, but yeah. So anyway, that's my advice for my best advice for working from home. I think we're all winging it, and I'd be curious to hear from our readers what their best working from home equipment and advice is. There's some advice that I would have given last year that I kind of threw away. Like for example, I used to say like for sure I'm going to get up and like dress for work every day, and that has kind of that unfortunately has gone out the window. I mean it's still good advice, but I can't tell you to do it because I don't follow it anymore.
That's pretty funny. So I'm gonna go through my list real quick since you went through your list. So
Yes.
my mouse is a Razer Death Adder. My keyboard is a Synosa, and I have, because I love to have extra programmable keys. Razer has this cool thing called I think it's called a Tartarus, which is like a 22 key extra add-on that's also got essentially a joystick. That's
Oh,
all.
I know. Yes, that is really nice.
I
Tartarus.
love that thing because, like, for a visual studio, I've got macros for clean and build and all kinds of things. So I can be typing and just with my pinky reach over and hit, the O1 key, and it'll clean my project or build or run all just from here, which I absolutely love. Obviously, I'm weird. I've got 6 monitors because, I mean, obviously I've got problems. Plus extra laptops, but software engineer has way too much stuff. Of course, that doesn't count any of the phones. And then I've got another one of this chair, which is a radio chair. They're great, but as a regular consumer, you don't want this. You're paying because this thing is like 8 years old and it does not squeak. And that's what we paid for, was to make sure that it never squeaked on air. And for a headset, I use the Aftershokz OpenCom, which is a Bluetooth headset. And we had them on the show during CES, and I got one less than a week after the interview and love it. It's the best communication headset I've ever had.
I really have to look into that because I'm really sick of wearing these kind of headsets. So
The thing,
I would like to have a less obtrusive headset. To
the
be
thing that I
honest.
really like about the OpenCom, and I know, again, not the intention to be an advertisement for it, but it doesn't cover your ears, so you can still hear what's happening around you. So if something's happening, the dog is whining or whatever, I know that something's happening, or Alexa goes off because there's a package that's been delivered or something like that. I hear those things, which I like, but I don't have all the background noise that other people have because it's just me
Right.
and the dog. So it may not be
Yes.
ideal for everybody. But for me, I absolutely love the headset. Plus, you can use it for like sports stuff because it's all sealed and stuff. So it is a cool headset. So anyway, that's my setup. Mine is a little weird with the 6 monitors and things, but
How do you do so? So I have a question for you about that. For that, I think our readers want to know. So it's hard to do more than 4 monitors.
Yes, it
It's
is.
hard to do more than 2 monitors with a laptop
Mhm.
because you need to get multiple docks. With a desktop, for those not keeping track, most discrete graphics cards will do up to 4 monitors. How did you get the other 2?
the left 2 are a separate computer, and I use
Okay.
I use a really cool thing that came out of the Microsoft Garage called Mouse Without Borders, and it turns the other computer into an extension of your current one. You can mouse just like the screens are in your Windows array. You can mouse right over to it, and your keyboard goes with you, and your clipboard goes with you, and all that stuff. So as far as I'm concerned, they're the same computer, You do network mapping for your drives and stuff, and everything just works as if it's the same computer. It's pretty cool. And Mouse Without Borders is free. I've been using it since before Microsoft put their name on it. When it's one of my favorite like weird stories. Some developer just made it in his free time because he had his work laptop and his work desktop, and he just wanted to be able to go back and forth. And Steve Ballmer walked into his office one day and said, "How did you just do that?" And he's like, "Well, I built this thing." He's like, "Okay, you need to package that because I would like it." And Mouse Without Borders was born. So, super cool story, and it's absolutely a lifesaver for me. So, but that's my layout. It's a separate computer, but I forget that most of the time. So, that's how I do it. Cool. Anyway, that's my setup. That's Avram's setup. We would love to hear what your setup is, what things are making your life bearable on working from home. If you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, go ahead and comment there. If you are watching this on the podcast or whatever, feel free to tweet us or find us over on social media and let us know, because we'd love to know what products and let us know what products, because I'm using a C930, by the way, as the webcam, and the USB version of this microphone, the bigger one of the one you're using, is the mic that I use. Anyway, let us know what's making your life bearable working from home in this this situation. We definitely want to hear it. And I enjoyed this conversation, Avram, as I always do. But this one, having worked from home for so long is pretty personal to me. So it was a fun conversation. And as always, I look forward to what we talk about next time. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Piltch Point with Avram Piltch. If you did, please subscribe to our channel, and of course hit the notification bell, since subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. And if you've got topics you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you don't want to follow us on YouTube, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways that you can follow our content. You can find all of that by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all the different ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.